Roger Williams University is hosting a crisis management seminar on May 3rd at their Providence campus. Crises, whether a natural disaster, cyber attack, or financial instability, can have severe repercussions if not handled properly. This is where crisis management plays a pivotal role. Join Roger Williams MBA students and expert speakers to learn how to prepare for the unexpected. The program is totally free and open to the public. You can register online at rwu.edu/events/crisis-management-symposium.
This is the Bartholomew Town Podcast.
The legalization of recreational cannabis going into effect this week can open doors for your career. If you are already in the industry or wondering what the best path to break into the cannabis field is, well, the University of Rhode Island has a program to help you become highly competitive in numerous areas of the cannabis industry. Fully accredited by URI's College of Pharmacy, the certificate program is 100% online and can be completed in 2 semesters. The next application deadline for the summer 2023 session is April 4th, and courses start May 9th. Learn more at uri.edu/online/cannabis or give them a call at 401-874-5280. All right, so today we're talking about a story that has come onto my radar screen in the last, I think it's been about a month and a half since this first came up, at least on my end. And it's a disturbing story. And it's something that plays into a horrifying lineage of disturbing stories here in Rhode Island over the course of hundreds of years. Really, that's one way to frame it. But in essence, South County Hospital wants to build a parking lot on what is deemed an historic archaeological site for the indigenous community. That's the really 36,000-foot basic summary of what's happening here. So let's get a little deeper on that, or much deeper, and we welcome in Bella Noka and Randy Noka, Narragansett tribal members, to really overview exactly what's happening here and why this story it requires not only acute attention, but also to take a look at the bigger issue at play here, which is clearly a level of disrespect and disdain that is frankly nothing new. So if either you want to sort of overview where this is at right now, and what is the next step in terms of this parking lot potentially being developed on that site. And I should say tribal elders as well, appropriately.
Thank you, Chobotny. Randy, do you want to go, please?
No, go ahead. You had more involvement with how it got to be that meeting, so.
Well, the question from that you're asking, if you can repeat that, because there's so much, there's so many places to stop from. Right. We're speaking on one, the fact that the Rhode Island Historic Preservation, the first drafted letter that was sent to them, gave them some ways of not disturbing the artifacts and what was there without even knowing. So they lent the hospital the thought of doing and going on further with their plans without contacting the historic preservation from the Narragansett tribal nation, John Brown. Second, they knew that it was a highly sensitive area from the very beginning. Right across the road is Salt Pond, where there was a discovery of the largest village that was interrupted with everything intact, along with burials. So found in fetal-like position. So my concern is very great. And yes, they have a playground there, and they speak about the person who donated land for those who could not afford to be buried. No disrespect, but we predate all of that. Mm-hmm. Our ancestors, there's no bunk beds in a cemetery. You do not go and stop building another cemetery over a cemetery. Okay? These are our ancient artifacts. These are our ceremonial grounds, and that is sacred to us. We have a big conversation going now on in the United States, well, throughout the world, about Jewish people. and you can't even say a word, and it's anti-Semitic. But I do not hear or see or hear Channel 10 or Channel 12 or the Providence Journal jumping on these issues of concerns. So I'm thankful for your podcast, because you're listening, you're paying the respect of another nation who here on this very land, the Aboriginal land of my people, are at stake. They are disrupting sacred land. They're poking, they're prodding, they're digging, they are removing. They have gone and dug up our ancient ancestors to build these mansions on the ocean front, build homes, build highways. They have cased in ceremonial grounds. And then they will fight us in court over the things that they want to return to us. We don't ask for nothing because we don't have to ask. We don't request nothing. We need things returned back to us that has been taken, stolen, and removed from us. And if you can sit there and talk about your pain and your suffering from another country or across a different sea and not be respectful to the people who you are benefiting off of as well, and see their pain, their suffering, and see it similar, very similar to your very own, we have a problem there. Now, this does not go to the Black community, because the Black community is there for everyone, has stood strong for everyone, but has received nothing in return. I respect everyone, no matter what culture, what you are going through. But here, let's start at the beginning. When you start in history, you don't start in the middle. You don't start in the end. You start with the first, the beginning. And we are the first, and we are the beginning.
Yeah, it's a perfectly stated overview. There's no question about it. And I agree with you right now. It seems like there's a flavor of the month sometimes, sort of outrage. And oftentimes that's the correct. In fact, usually it's an injustice in the world that should be addressed, but we don't have that spotlight on what's happening in our own backyards in a way that is anywhere near the sort of attention and outrage. And so the specific example right now in this lineage of problems is that South County Hospital, an institution in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, basically wants to expand by building a parking lot in an area that has been deemed archaeologically significant, and it's part of a broader area in Salt Pond, a coastal area where, frankly, there appears to be an indigenous graveyard and other artifacts as well. And so you look at that and you just go, well, why would anybody think it's appropriate to build a parking lot over such a site? And so what have you heard? What has been the explanation? Because this thing is now, it is not wrapped up, and there's still a chance that this parking lot could be built. So I guess, Randy, what have you heard in terms of just the justification for this development?
Well, we did, Bella and I and a number of others were at the recent town council meeting in South Kingstown, and this issue was on the agenda. And in fact, the council moved it up in order because of, the pressing issue that it is, and the amount of folks that were in the audience that night to speak on it one way or another. Unfortunately, there were some advocates to continue with the parking lot, including hospital staff or the higher ups, if you will. But my understanding could be totally wrong, and it would be the right thing to do, is that it's been kiboshed, the building of the parking lot, the paving over, if you will. I could be wrong, and frankly, Bill, you touched on it, that I find equally disturbing. The fact of them trying to do it is one thing. The fact that there was a meeting on it to potentially go forward with it, it's disturbing, disgusting, whatever word you want to use. I asked during, I spoke a few minutes that night, and I asked those in the audience, particularly the administrators that were pushing this parking lot idea, and more importantly, not just a parking lot, but a filling in, if you will, of ancestral cultural site, a burial and significant site, much like has already been discussed, across the way, there's a tremendous site, tremendously large site that was found. And it's fair to say that, going back, who knows how many sites were disturbed, how many burials were disturbed, houses built, the hospital itself built, any number of things that have been built, roads that have been made. Our people are here all over southern New England. And what's been disturbed that we'll never know about, it's disturbing to feel that, know that it's true, that happened. By chance, this proposed parking lot, it came to be understood to be a culturally significant site. I'm thankful that they did find out, those that have been involved. And John Brown, as Bella pointed out, needs to be involved in any historical site, culturally sensitive site that's, to the indigenous people. And they're in the Narragansett tribe. We're the aboriginal people of a large part of southern New England. And so it's disturbing our sites. But back to the proposed parking lot, some did mention, it's the needs of the hospital and the people, the patients and family of patients that come in, they need more parking. And fine, whatever you have to do that's not going to disturb this cultural site, by all means, shuttle people in, whatever the case may be, whatever you need to do, you don't need to disturb that site. And filling it in and not disturbing it, digging wise, is not an acceptable resolve. But I asked the folks in the audience that night, the hospital folks more so, and the administrative staff more so, would you want this done to a cemetery of your loved ones? Would you want this done to a culturally sensitive site, which I suppose they don't necessarily have them in this country because we're the ones with the culturally sensitive sites. Their sites are across the ocean somewhere. But again, I asked them, raise their hand if you'd want it done to a cemetery where your loved ones are buried. And obviously not one person could raise their hand on that point that I raised. No one would want this done to their site. Why? I also asked, why do you think it's acceptable to have it being done to my people? It's unacceptable. It makes the conscience questions. What kind of conscience do you have where you can present such an idea that will fill in or potentially remove and relocate burial sites or artifacts or whatever the case may be? No, you don't disturb loved ones. You don't disturb those that have been resting for centuries, perhaps, of our people. But it seems like it's presented. It was by it being presented. It's like, well, okay, it's only the Narragansett people. It's not a big deal. It's not a white cemetery. Forgive me, but it's why is it acceptable that you even brought this idea? That disturbs me just as much as that you brought the idea. Why do you think it's acceptable to bring it?
Yeah, and I think that's the big question here is that why is that even an idea that would possibly be raised and dismissed, or that the concerns that this is in fact a culturally significant site would just be dismissed and made into a secondary issue? Because as you said, that this would not be the case. I mean, imagine Swan Point Cemetery. I mean, go through the list of any cemetery you could find. Well, right now there's a housing crisis. There's unhoused people all over the state. So let's go to Swan Point Cemetery and we'll bulldoze it and we'll build houses there. You'd be laughed out of the building before you even had a chance. But somehow this advanced to the point where the South Kingstown Town Council had a hearing on it. And this idea is still, I don't know. I don't think that there's any clarity as to what the status is right now as to whether this project is definitely squashed or if it's going to be revisited. But in any case, the bigger issue is that why do you think it is? And I think we know the answer to this, but why do you think it is that the town of South Kingstown or the South County Hospital or any number of other examples would say, you know what? We understand there's a culturally significant site there, but our needs are more important. Is this just the continuity of the same type of colonialism that built this nation in the first place. I mean, that's what it seems like.
Well,
go ahead, Bill.
No, please.
Well, I appreciate that point. Is it a continuation? In fact, has that mindset, that way of thinking, has it ever left their kind? There's been so many discriminatory decisions made down through the years towards the Aboriginal people or people of color, for that matter. I'm not trying to broad brush everyone as being of that mind, but it's fair to say that a fair amount of the community and people in prominent positions, elected officials, look what's going on in D.C. and state houses across the nation. It's a continuation that's disturbing. And now and then, when an issue comes up that brings it to light, such as this parking lot or proposed parking lot, thankfully, people such as yourself, Bill, are bringing it more to light, exposing it for what it is. It's a mindset that has never left this country, a manifest destiny, doctrine of discovery mindset that, we're here, we're better than you. I don't care what you want. I don't care how we hurt you. I don't care who we kill. We're going to have our way. It's an ugly way of thinking, but that's how this country was founded. And in large part, there's still a fair amount of people out there. Maybe they got hooded sheets hidden in their closet. Maybe they're bringing them out. But it's an ugly way of thinking. It's an ugly mindset. It's an ugly consciousness that needs to be exposed.
Definitely. Bella, how do we, other than just constantly exposing it as much as possible, how does something like this get prevented from happening in the future? And what's your message to South County Hospital, especially the executives that are potentially considering moving forward with the development of this parking lot? And it's such a shocking, it's just such a shocking and arrogant, there's no other way to put it, arrogant approach to this project.
One thing I want to make certain, and I want it to be clear with everybody out there, they have a beautiful staff. These nurses, these doctors, Dr. Joseph particularly, I will say with my family, have given birth to our children, my niece's children, my grandchildren, saved my life in threatening situations. My health care was entrusted with that hospital. And at this point in time, I don't feel comfortable no more. I don't know if it's a new administration that came up there like a fossil fuel company and did not see the community base that surrounds this beautiful hospital that once was, because I don't feel that warmth there anymore. I don't feel comfortable receiving medicine out of a place that will pave over my ancient ancestors. If you don't care about them, you couldn't possibly care about me. But going back to what Randy had said about how they don't care about the indigenous, that I don't want to use the word indigenous because we are the aboriginal people of this land here. Now we have a whole and we can't ignore what's taking place in the media, on TikTok and in every other social outlet about the Jewish community. We have a large Jewish community here in the state of Rhode Island. I do not hear them picking up signs or coming forward or assisting us in any way. And they've been through these experiences that they share with us very often. They talk about how their numbers are low in population, but they are not hearing our support with the indigenous people. They benefit off of our land, and they are not here for our people. So I don't know what they're being taught or how they are as a people, but I do know that the people who were brought here on slave ships, who have suffered the most, who were forced into enslavement, who come from beautiful, beautiful countries to come here to build a nation. They stand by our side. They fight for civil rights for everybody, whether it be the LGBTQ, the indigenous people, the aboriginal people of this land. I see the Black community standing in solidarity with everyone. But who stands with them? So I thank the Black community for always being there for us and for everyone. And I will always stand with them. But I do not see other people, such as the Jewish community, coming forward and helping us if they understand such a great suffering that they say that they suffered. And I believe they did. Right? Where are all of these people? So when this is taking place, and I bring that up because it's in the media a lot, and I ask, well, if somebody understands your pain, like today, I'm here at the State House, and I drove from South County to be with the people who are homeless sitting on the front steps of the State House. I'm here with them, and I'm talking to them, and I'm listening to them, and I know what it's like to be low income. I know what it's go through suffering. I lived in a housing project. When you learn and know somebody else's pain, you are there by their side. This right here is a Narragansett issue, and every time there's a Narragansett issue, they bring in Joseph Larissa, who is Randy. What is he? He's Charlestown solicitor, solicitor, and they bring him in. He goes beyond his call of duty, beyond his pay grade, to do whatever he can to stop us from housing, to stop elderly housing. I sat there and watched Senator Jack Reed there for Habitat for Humanity, giving somebody a home. And he's talking about donating land, and he's going to make certain funding is going to be going to and I know I'm not off track. This is going to lead to something, but to give funding for Habitat for Humanity. This is our land. We would like to get funding to build our elderly housing that they stopped us from. We have elderly housing that never got built because they held us up in court. And they got deep pockets. We don't have that. So the funding we used was dissolved of, and then we had to pay that money back, and then the housing never got built. So we have elderly who are homeless. We have them in the street. So I feel your pain. I want people to feel the pain of you thinking you can bury over my ancient ancestors, and what that feels for me when everybody is standing there and fighting over a post that either Kyrie Irving did or this, that. Fight over what is right here as well with the aboriginal people of this land. You're going overseas looking and paying so much attention to a people, and those people don't seem to care about us. Nobody does.
That light definitely needs to be shined so much more on the realities of what's happening here in our own backyard, because I think that the average person, when they hear this story, or they not just this story but other injustices, there's a level of outrage that would come with it, just like any of those other examples, whether you're talking about this recent run of Holocaust denial, or Ukraine, or the Black Lives Matter movement in the summer of 2020. All of these things, for the most part, are organically people saying, hey, this is a terrible aspect of our society and we can't tolerate it. But somehow South County Hospital proposes to build a parking lot over an Aboriginal, culturally historic, relevant site, and mostly crickets. And that's an inconsistency that's totally unacceptable.
And we are not accepting any more land swaps. Enough of the digging up our ancient ancestors, because that's erasure. That is erasure. 20 years from now, people are going to come in and do a study, and there's no signs of Narragansett remains anywhere, because you're going to say that they never, ever existed. Yes, they do exist. They have been here since time immemorial. We will be here since till forever. So get comfortable with that and stop bringing up your history without starting with the beginning of history, which is my people. The Aboriginal people, the only federally recognized tribe here in the state of Rhode Island. There is no state tribe. There is no other tribe here that is mentioned by the state of Rhode Island or with the Narragansetts. The Narragansetts know our boundary lines. We know that there were other tribes that came here who looked and sought protection from us because we were a mighty large tribe, and we gave them the protection. And rather, the state of Rhode Island Providence Plantation, where they got a Christmas tree sitting over the emblem of Providence Plantation because they failed to dig that up. Take that away. 2 years ago, it was supposed to have been gone, but they got a Christmas tree sitting over it as I speak. Sorry, going a little off target, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about how is the state of Rhode Island, Brown University, which was a slave trade family, slave owners, the DeWolf family, all of these families here, they're still here. They get so many benefits off of this state. They don't speak up on behalf of anything or anybody. They try to, there's like a kind of a dirt that you can't clean up with soap and water. That kind of dirt you cannot clean up. But what you can do is start a healing and do the right thing. And I don't see them doing anything right.
Yeah,
Step up, speak up. But a hospital, I would never expect that to come from a hospital to even entertain the thought of building over anyone's ancient burial grounds, ceremonial grounds, things that mean so much to a person. I'm not going back into that hospital. I had to take my grandson just the other day, and I was very uncomfortable. And I said I would never come here again. It felt vacant. It felt empty. The warmth was no longer there. And I just didn't trust the medicine that they would have administered to him. So I said, no, we're leaving, and we're not coming back here again.
And that's the deeper issue too, just in terms of losing community trust when you have something like this take place.
And I asked my husband, if anything is to happen to me, because I am so politically active, because I do have a voice out in the community, these people have the power to shut me down. Why would I want to put my life into their hands? Never again. And we have a doctor, Dr. Thomas Walkup and Laurie Anderson, who work for the Narragansett Tribal Nation. They have been very, very silent. I have not heard their voices, and I get very disturbed. Martin Luther King said, don't worry about the voices of your enemies. Be more concerned about the silence of your friends. And if they are our friends, I would expect for them to speak up and speak against this. They are over there in working together also in Block Island. Now, that is another community where most of our ancient artifacts are. They know a lot about our people. They've been with us for a very long time, but silence.
Yeah, and let's hope that light is continues to be shined, and that trend is reversed, because it absolutely has to be. We've only got about a minute left, but what is the current status, as far as you know, Bella, of this parking lot project, and where can people find out more information about it if they want to get involved in the resistance of that project going forward?
I was told, and again, this is a third party, so I can't just entertain every conversation I have, but they are going to try to push through that they want to, the language was create a watertight language so that if there is some form of a land swap, no one can get any of that information. I would like a transparent process. We as a nation do not want anyone digging up our ancient burials anymore, removing them. So we ask, and anyone who knows the pain of losing people, of the history of your people, the love for your people, to disturb what is our right to protect our historical culture, our traditions, our history. We're not going to accept the erasure. So those who are friends of me, my husband, the Narragansett Indian tribe, could just simply feel an injustice being done, please step up, speak up, right to South Kingston Town Hall. And I believe that they're all on board, myself, because when they spoke up, they were very disappointed that some of the paperwork never made it to them. leaving a lot of information for them to make a real good decision. And then they stated that they did it because they were protecting the Narragansetts. They were not protecting us. We speak up fine for ourselves. It took them 1 whole year to contact John Brown at the Historic Preservation Office. So what kind of protection were they really given, or were they plotting and planning? So please come forward. Don't believe anything you hear. Everything that you do hear from these media, the Channel 10, Channel 12, that's secondhand information. Please contact me. Facebook me, TikTok me, do whatever you can. You can reach me at Bella and Noka 401-222-0826. I'm willing to speak.
Bella Noka, Randy Noka, Narragansett Tribal Elders. I'm sure that this conversation will pick up again, and anytime you have an update, feel free to hop on.
At HealthSource RI for Employers, we provide access to health insurance to more than 1,100 local businesses and nonprofits, and 96% of them renew through us every year. Maybe it's our choice of 19 different health plans, our 10 years of customizing solutions, or our one local team of dedicated experts helping employers find quality health insurance. See how our numbers stack up for you. Learn more at healthsourceri.com/employers.